Warning, the following episode of Blackwell Podcast contains hella spoilers for Life is Strange.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Blackwell Podcast, where we love Life is Strange more than Max wants to see a tray flip. I'm Joey.
And I'm Jamie. Hello.
And we have a very, very special episode today.
Yeah. Today kind of marks like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
a revival. Start.
Yeah. The revival to the show, right? Because we've been gone for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of kicking things back into action.
Right, we are christening Blackwell 2.0, Blackwell Podcast 2.0. And the reason we've been gone a while is because we have three new co-hosts. We have Aaron.
Hey!
We have Sean.
Hey!
And we have Zach.
Heyo.
welcome to the team, peeps. So yeah, we went through the vetting process. It was rigorous. And we had 3 survivors. Everyone else was kicked off the island. Some didn't make it. May they rest in peace.
Oh,
They were buried in unmarked graves on the island.
Yes. But these are the final survivors, and they have been broken down and molded to fit the show. I'm just kidding. How you guys doing?
I'm good.
Doing great, man.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
So this episode is pretty much to get an idea on the new co-hosts, you know, their personalities, and just to get an idea on their playthrough of Life is Strange.
Yep.
So, we're going to start off alphabetically. So, Aaron, how did you find out about Life is Strange?
Hey guys. It's good to be here. So I found out about Life is Strange through a friend of mine back in probably like September, October. I was kind of in like this weird transition period of my life, and I was living with a friend of mine, and he recommended the game. And I had seen him play through it a few times, and I didn't really think much of it. I thought it was like kind of just like one of those sandbox games where you just kind of walk around and explore a little bit, which to a degree it kind of is, with all the photo taking and whatnot. But it wasn't until I really like realized there was a tangible plot and like character development that I got interested. I remember specifically there was a night I was over there, and he was playing through the part where Max is in Kate's room, and Kate is explaining what happened at the Vortex Club party. And he handed me the controller and asked if I wanted to play. So I kind of got a feel for the game, and obviously that scene is it's kind of weighty as far as, you know, emotional impact. So, you know, I'm big on that. And so I worked my way through the options, and you know, that's how I figured out you can like travel back in time and like, you know, change your choices if you want. So that's really what gripped me. And then by the time I got done with that sequence, I was like, all right, dude, well, I got to start this myself. I kind of just took off from there, and I really, really latched onto the story and characters, and it had a really big impact at, like, you know, on what I was going through at the time. So I think that had a lot to do with it as well. But it's an amazing game, and I love it. Clearly.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean?
I kind of relate to the whole emotional attachment thing, but I first found it when I follow a lot of gamers on YouTube, and I think it was Jacksepticeye who I first watched play episode 1, and it was just after like some stuff had happened in my life, and I really connected to Chloe's character when she was introduced, and I was like, oh, she's so cool. And I was like unsure after the first episode, and I was like, we'll see where this goes, because it was like kind of just like setting the tone and stuff. And then after episode 2, I was like, okay, I love this game so much. I have to get it right now. And yeah, just loved it since then, I guess, and have not been able to escape it.
I don't think there is an escape at this point.
No.
Alright, Zach. What about you?
So I talked about this. This is actually my second appearance here on the podcast with you guys. And I talked about this a little bit on the Life is Strange fans episode. But I got episode 1, I think when it was on sale on the PlayStation. And, because that's where I played it. And, I remember I played episode 1, and like you said, Sean, I liked it, but I didn't really... At that point, by episode 1, you don't really know where it's going. Yeah. And I wasn't that into it, and so I actually didn't pick it back up until after episode 3 was already out. I didn't play 2 at launch, and I didn't play 3 at launch. It was somewhere in between 3 and 4. I don't remember how long it was. And then I played through 2 and 3, and I was definitely hooked by episode 2, because that's when all the Kate stuff happens. And at that point, I played them as they launched. But I was pretty lukewarm on the game at first. Episode 1 didn't snag me. It wasn't until the plot gets a little more serious and heavier with episode 2 that I was, like, invested. But obviously, just like you guys said, it's kind of, you can't escape it at this point.
Well, glad you decided to go back to it. Didn't just sleep on it for...
I didn't hear anything about it, leading up to its launch or anything. I hadn't seen any trailers or anything like that.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah, I think the only reason I got it is just because I saw it was kind of in the same vein as a Telltale game, which I love. Like, the Walking Dead game is great. I'm really behind on season 3, but I had played those, and I saw it looked similar to a Telltale game, and it looked interesting, and it was like dirt cheap, like I said, because it was on sale. So I think episode 1, it was on sale for like $1.50 or something. So I figured I'd buy it, and it was good. And then I didn't even hear anything about episode 2 or 3, and so I don't really know why I bothered to get them, because I think I bought like the full season after that. But yeah, I think to this day I've never even watched a trailer. Even after I've like beat the game, I've never seen a trailer for Life is Strange. I don't think I've ever watched them.
I think, like, I'm pretty sure I saw, like, the original trailer for it, and that's kind of, like, I've talked about it before. I saw it, and it looked interesting, and then I forgot about it until, like, a week before episode 4 came out. But then, the episode trailers, I remember.
Oh, right, yeah.
I remember the episode trailers as well.
I did watch the one, now that you bring it up, I did watch the one for episode 4, where it shows, like, glimpses of the party at the pool. So, yeah, I did watch that one. I don't know if I saw any others.
I don't think I've ever seen one at all. I mean, I was the kind of person who waited until, like, midnight release for each episode. Because,
yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, because my friend, like, told me about the demo, and that's kind of how I found out about it. And, like, I bought episode 1, just kept on waiting the 2-month wait.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I was spoiled a little bit, because by the time I had gotten into the game, it was after episode 5 had already come out, and my buddy just kind of like let me play through it as I wanted to. I think I finished it inside a week, but I'm kind of jealous of the people who like had to like guess and like wait for the next episode. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that like I said, I wasn't very snagged by episode 1, and then there's just like some people who episode 1 had such an effect on them, like the creator of Life is Strange fans, Chris. He started working on that website after episode 1, which blows my mind, because I was not, like, episode 1 didn't like catch me at all. Like, I thought it was kind of fun, but it wasn't like heavy enough for me to be that invested. And I know Jamie's brought this, me and Jamie have talked about this, that the only really heavy thing that happens in episode 1 is Chloe getting shot, and it's immediately undone. And it feels like it has no weight to it, and it just, I don't know, episode 1 feels, even though it involves Chloe being shot, it feels so, like, weightless, and it doesn't, it feels like more carefree than the other episodes, and I think that didn't get me into it as quick. And so I think it's crazy how some people were like bit into it even by episode 1, even snagged them.
Yeah, no, I think because after I finished episode 1, I had a bit of a gander on Tumblr, and I was like, okay, I like this fandom, I like where this is going. So I think that's what really made me want to keep watching. Like, I loved the whole vibe, like the indie vibe with music and stuff like that. That was a big thing for me from episode 1. And so I was like, okay, I'll just check this out, see what's going on in this fandom. And I was looking at GIFs and stuff, and then I started just like sharing a few GIFs now and then episode 2 came out, and I was like, okay, no, this is it. I love this game.
Yeah, I think episode 2 is definitely I think everybody who was interested was definitely grabbed by episode 2. There's like nobody who wasn't invested in the game until episode 3. It's either you were invested by episode 1 or episode 2. There was nobody that it took longer than that to hook.
Yeah.
And if people say that they are, we don't believe them. Speaking of like episode trailers, I remember there was some fallout for, I guess, the first 3 episodes trailers, because they had spoilers in them. I don't know. I didn't start seeing trailers because the first 3 episodes were out by the time I started playing. But I like how they went the complete opposite way with that. They're like, okay, we won't put spoilers in it anymore. But now we're gonna have stuff that's gonna have you like wondering what the hell is going on, and it's not gonna be even in the episode.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cheeky. But what are you guys' favorite episodes? Start with you, Aaron.
Yeah. So I think I told you and Jamie that my favorite episode is episode 4. Mostly because I feel like it's sort of the climax of the story. I mean, there are a lot of different peaks and crazy, like, you know, misdirections and like sort of twists, I guess. But episode 4 was really unique to me because I just felt like it was the point in the game where I felt like this is really coming to a head and like stuff is really going like, you know, out of control. And specifically just, you know, the reveal of like, you know, what happened to Rachel Amber, and you know, where with the whole sequence with the Vortex Club party, and you find out at the end of the episode, you know, Jefferson is behind everything. Sorry, spoilers. But yeah, you know, it was just it was I felt like it was very intense. A lot. Each episode sort of has their own identity for me, but that one kind of sticks out on its own. And, yeah, I just I don't know if I like everything about it, but it was definitely something.
All right, what about you, Sean?
I've mentioned it before, but I think episode 3 is my favourite. I feel like that's when we have the most character development, especially with the diner scene. Just me, like, talking to Nathan and Frank, the smaller characters. I really like that element of it, because even though you don't necessarily like those characters, it's interesting to learn more about them. But I also really I've thought about this a lot, and I love literally all the episodes, but I really like episode 4 as well, because like what was mentioned a moment ago, that is when you see the depth of the game and see like how dark it can get compared to like the start. Like, it just had such a nice calm vibe at the beginning, and then by the end of episode 4 you're kind of wrecked for emotions.
Already a sobbing mess.
Literally.
What about you, Zach?
I think I agree with Sean, and my favorite episode is probably episode 3. Mostly for, I think it's the 2 main things is the pool scene, and just because it's so good. Well, I also like sneaking.
Such a good scene.
I also like sneaking around the school before that, and like breaking into the office. I thought that was fun, and
oh yeah,
I don't know, just like the vibe of it, like, you know, like the Max and Chloe taking everything in their own hands, and now they're gonna try to get in the principal's computer and stuff. I thought that was cool.
And there's so much flirting in that episode too. I'm just like, my prize sealed heart.
I think I just like the general mood of it at the beginning.
Yeah.
With the vibe of, regardless of what just happened with Kate, you're in the fallout of what just happened with Kate. Whether she's alive or dead at that point, you're dealing with the fallout of that. And I think it gives the beginning of episode 3 a very cool vibe. And then it changes at the pool. It changes from like a very like, all right, things are messed up and we have to do something about it. And then it sort of takes this really relaxed moment in the pool. And then that continues all the way through the next morning. And, man, episode 3 is so good. But I think the other reason I really love it is the ending. That the twist at the end is so brutal.
Yes.
And nobody saw it coming. Like,
Yeah.
and there's even like, you obviously know that the timeline has changed, seeing as it starts with Max. She snaps back into it, and she's like hanging out with all the kids that are part of the Vortex Club.
Yeah.
And instantly you're like, all right, well, definitely things are different. But just like the slow reveal of her, you get to the house, and I didn't even notice it the first time, but you can see that the house is actually painted now. It's not half painted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you're like, oh,
And you can
man.
also see a ramp.
Yeah, you're like, oh, William's alive. And then if you don't figure it out by that point, obviously he answers the door. And so you're like, oh, man, I've created a better reality. And then you're
Yeah.
instantly denied that this is not a better reality.
Yeah.
And
I think I have really good memories from playing the episode as well, apart from like the heartbreak. But I was playing it whilst playing it. My best friend, we were on Skype together and we were playing the game at the same time. And we would just like, every time a choice would come up, we'd be like, what do we pick? And it was just, and then by the end of the episode, we were both sat there in silence for a good like 20 minutes, and we just were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And we were both so upset and just crying, and we felt like idiots, but it was really fun to play it alongside her.
yeah, it's so good. Episode 3 is so good. I think
Yeah, 'cause
episode 4 is definitely...
That's where they
Sorry,
introduced the
go ahead.
mechanic of like going back in time through the Polaroid, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
thought that was cool
I was
about it, too.
losing it during that part. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That they
Yeah,
revealed
I-
that there's more like depth to her power just beyond the last like 10-15 minutes.
I was
Yeah,
getting
that's
like
what I was about to say.
I was getting like butterfly effect vibes for the Polaroid. Has anyone
Oh
else
yeah,
seen that movie?
definitely. Butterfly Effect has to be like a huge influence for that game.
Yeah.
That's an
And-
awesome movie.
Kind of going back to what you said, Zach, about like the aftermath of episode 2. Probably one of my favorite sequences in the game is when Max is going down the hallway of the dormitories.
Oh, at the
And
beginning
just-
of episode
Oh,
3?
Yeah, and just seeing
Yeah.
like all the like the memorial for Kate, just either hoping that she's okay, just wishes for her and everything.
Yeah. Man,
Like
that
the police
episode
tape
3
on the
has
door and
such a
stuff.
good... It's such a good vibe when it starts, because it is a mix of like, man, this is really messed up because of what just happened with Kate, but it's also like Chloe and Max are like not like sitting idly by. They feel like they have to like do something about it, so they're gonna break into the school and stuff. I really
Yeah.
like the beginning of episode 3. It's good, as well as the end, of course.
Good
But episode 4 is also really good, because I do
Mhm.
agree with you, Aaron, in that it does feel like the climax of the story when everything's like revealed. You find out what happens to Rachel, who's behind it, and it also ends with an insane twist. And yeah, episode 4 is definitely a close second for me. And then I think probably
Yeah,
episode
for
2.
sure. And it's actually interesting because like the more you talk about episode 3, I'm like remembering all these things that happen, like when they're going to Blackwell
Yeah.
at night, and I'm just like, oh man, I forgot about that. Maybe I should change my answer. But no, it's great.
The thing that fucks me up, and like it's this like haunting image. It's like akin to like the haunting image of the freaking baby from Eraserhead, except different tone, of course. But is at the end of episode 3, Chloe is so happy to see Max. She hasn't seen her in so long, and Max just like she has this like
horrified.
smile, like this like warm smile and all that, and Max is just she just has this like, oh my god look on there, and it's like, Jesus Christ, it's so heavy. And then it's a good preparation for just how heavy episode 4 is going to be. And man, that still fucks me up to this day.
Kind of
close
like
my eyes and
Going back to the concept of time that you said, Chloe was like waiting for 5 years for Max. For Max, it must have been like 20 minutes since you last seen Chloe.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
that.
I mean, she snapped back into it at the school, and then she took the bus to her house. So
Yeah.
it hadn't been that long. Yeah.
Fucked.
It's crazy.
So deep.
It's an interesting look too at like the perception of time, which is a different conversation to be had at some other point. But I think like just the juxtaposition of like 15 minutes for Max versus 5 years for Chloe, that type of thing is like a interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, and I don't want to pull my own chain here, but I also thought that was really interesting. And in the one fan fiction I've ever written, I played with that idea in my fan fiction, in that there's what can happen in like a split second for one person can be, well, in the rules of Life is Strange anyway, what can happen in 1 second for Chloe can be an extremely long time for Max. And
Yeah.
I think that's like a really, really scary part of Max's power
Yeah.
that isn't really played with. It is played with a little bit right there, obviously, but I think it could have been made much more scarier. And I think Max's power is a lot more frightening than, if you think about it, than the game lets on.
Must be the work of
Yeah. You did it.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next question. Since Life is Strange has so many characters, right? With so many diverse personalities, what characters would you say you relate to the most, and why? Aaron?
Oh man, I knew this was coming. So my stock answer is Max, which is weird because, we're pretty different people. I mean, not just in age and gender, but I don't know. I just sort of like, I feel like I normally have the tendency to lack onto the protagonist of the story just because, like, I mean, they're kind of the one you're supposed to root for usually. And, but I don't know. I felt like this really strong kinship with her. Like, I understood sort of like how her mind worked. And, I felt like she just, with everything that happened, she just wanted to help people. Like, she was kind of thrown into like the lion's den with getting this new power. And like, while she is a bit nosy, she got like involved with everybody else's issues and what was going on at Blackwell. And I feel like, given everything that happened, she really actually tried to do what was best for everybody else. And yeah, I mean, I just think she's, caring and thoughtful and adorable, and I don't know. But my secondary answer is, a little less popular, but I think I relate a lot to Warren as well. Just because he's like a goob and a dweeb, and he really tries hard, but he ends up just, punching himself in the gut when it comes to social interactions, and he just comes on way too strong. So I have a heart for that.
All right, Aaron. Well, thanks for joining us on the show.
Yep.
There's a new spot open for co-host. No, I'm just kidding. Warren is all right. I know we give him a lot of shit, and he does a lot of
He
like
means well.
inexcusable things, but he does mean well, yeah. And he's also a dumb 16-year-old, and a lot of people. I think Jamie and I have talked about this, and we both kind of hate to admit that we've been Warren at some point, and like good and bad, and I think like we see all the bad things in ourselves, and we like latch onto Warren, all the like just dumb fucking kid things that people do, can't take a hint,
Yeah.
following people around too much
The
and
puns.
like, making them uncomfortable, and but yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, Warren is not evil, and
No.
he means well. He's
he idealizes Max and wants her to be, he wants to be her knight in shining armor, and that's just not what she's looking for.
because she's looking for Chloe.
Yeah, boy.
And you did that episode
Yeah,
already.
good.
So
What about you, Sean?
Definitely Chloe for me. Like I said, I was dealing with some stuff. I played Life is Strange just after my mum passed away, and so seeing Chloe dealing with these really strong feelings she had about the loss of her father and how she kind of blamed the world and blamed herself. And she was, instead of, people presume that when you have that kind of loss in your life that you're going to be sad, but I felt angry more than anything at that point in time. So I really got why Chloe was feeling that way, and I think that really helped me cope with that, knowing that that was a normal feeling and it was valid, and I could just really relate to Chloe. And whilst people gave her shit a lot, saying that she was selfish and all that, I kind of understood where it was coming from. So that was a lot of help for me. But I feel like I love all of the girls in Life is Strange, because I've spoken about this before on Tumblr. I feel like it's kind of hard to get women in video games who are just like teenagers and are simple and aren't over-sexualized, and they don't need to have a certain look to fit into categories that people will want to watch it. They're just regular people suffering and having bad times, and it's okay, and I like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. It's quite refreshing, and I'm really glad Don't Nod, Don't Nod and Christian and all that, like, paid attention to that. And I think too with Chloe, like, the thing is, like, it's really easy to pass it off as being selfish. I gotta preface this with, of course, I'm biased because I'm like, protect Chloe at all costs.
Yeah, me too.
But it's really easy on the outside to see a lot of those behaviors as just, God, this person fucking sucks, I can't stand them and all that. But like, it comes from, it's not like people choose to be that way. It's a defense mechanism, and it's a wall that you put up. And if you look at Chloe and like all the stuff that she's lost and like all the feelings of abandonment that she has and all that, it's like, it's not excusable, the like some of the behaviors, of course, but it's understandable. And I really appreciate with all the characters how, you know, they even with Victoria, with the limited interaction that you have with her, they still dive into beyond surface level. And I really appreciate that, because, you know, we're all humans and we're all fucked up, and in some way or another, and it goes to show you like how extending beyond like can really help some people. Because I mean, I still make mistakes about that all the time, and you know, so anyway, I don't know why I got on that ramble. Protect Chloe at all costs. What about you, Zach?
I definitely relate to Mr. Jefferson the most. No, not really.
Get out.
No. I think I don't know. This is always like the hardest question for me to answer, because I don't think there is one character in particular that I feel like I relate to more than any others. And so my usual answer for this is I'm about 50% Warren for the same reasons you said, Aaron. Just because, you know, he's a goober and he means well, but he's a bit of a bonehead. And but I think for the other 50%, I think Kate is probably who I relate to the most. Just because I can't say I know what like the type of stuff Kate was going through. Like, it was pretty like heavy bullying and stuff. But I've been in a similar position to Kate. I never went as far as Kate went, but you know, I think a lot of people have been there, and so most people relate. A lot of people relate to Kate in that aspect, and I feel like I do feel closest to her in that way. I don't feel like I do want to say Max, but I always leave Max out just because she is kind of a slate for the player, and that you can't really decide what she says, but you do decide her actions. And so, of course, she's sort of like you, right? Because you're the one who's telling her what to do.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and so I do feel a little close to Max. I mean, but I do kind of exclude her just for that reason. And then I don't feel like I'm like Chloe very much, just because she's a bit too rebellious, and I was never like that.
She doesn't give a heck.
Yeah, we'll leave that to you,
I
Sean.
never had that edge.
Yeah, no, after I finished Life is Strange, I actually ended up cutting all of my hair off and dyeing it blue, because I was so inspired by her.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, no, and I can totally relate to kind of being rebellious and that kind of thing. That sounds horrible to say about yourself, but I was always the kid who would have secret piercings and hide it from my parents, and they'd find out and tell me to take them out, and then I'd be like, never. So I kind of got that, but I feel like I also have a bit of Maxime, but like you said, you kind of choose what she does. But right. I'm kind of like between the two, a safe middle somewhere.
I think with Kate, it's a good examination of bullying, and not even just like outward like stuffing in a locker bullying, but like the kind that like really gets to you, where it's like you cannot escape it. Right. There's no. Yeah. And that's like, yeah, it's a good examination of that, and so it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think they're all I really love that all the characters are really well thought out, like you were saying about Victoria. I mentioned to you the other day that I didn't like her at first, but then once you did learn more about her, like I think it's with Courtney when she talks about how she was dealing with her mum being sick and Victoria was there for her, you were kind of like, oh, you don't get to see that side of Victoria, but I think they're all really well thought out. Like even if you don't like certain things about them, you'll hear one thing and you'll be like, oh, maybe I wasn't right about that character, maybe there's more to them.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because like I heard a lot of people comment on the characters in this game and the interactions, and I heard stuff from both sides saying like, oh man, that's exactly what high school kids are like, and other people are like, no way, like nobody's that mean, nobody's that like heartless, but like there are a lot of different sides to them, and what I got from that little part that you mentioned, Sean, is like, you know, a lot of the people that are bullying Kate and a lot of the people that are just putting her through this personal hell that she's going through probably don't realize it. I mean, you know, they're doing it as a way of self-validation and just to maintain their status, sort of. But I think that is very realistic in that a lot of bullies don't really see the full effect of what they're doing, and if they did, they might have a change of heart. And you kind of, I mean, that's kind of evident by the end of episode 2 where you see Victoria crying in her room because she never wanted that to happen.
Right. If you want to see another example of that, which you just said, Aaron, kind of like people not really seeing the exact consequences of their actions until it's too late, you can watch 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, dude.
On Netflix. Yep.
I have heard, I've heard a lot of people compare this game to that show. I still haven't seen it.
I have a little bit. It is definitely a different world, but it does echo some similar things. And I have... Although I liked 13 Reasons Why, I will have to preface that I spent about half of that show genuinely liking it, and the other half of it laughing at how ridiculous it is, like some of the dialogue and stuff. But I will recommend it. I say if you like Life is Strange, you'll probably like it.
I'd recommend the book more. I'd hate to be that guy, but
right.
the book...
I haven't read it, so...
Oh, I didn't know.
The book is... The book is definitely stronger. And I have a few... Like, I love the show, don't get me wrong, but I have a few issues with it, but we won't go into that. But I was going to say, Life is Strange actually tweeted 13 Reasons Why, saying something like, oh, I heard we're kind of similar. And I was like, hey...
There are definitely some similarities there, running with, like, bullying and stuff like that. And, yeah, I think I agree there. Like, if you like the game, you'll probably like that show or that book as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I still have yet to watch it.
Yeah, same here.
Speaking of, like, worlds colliding, I guess, I was unnecessarily stoked when the word of the day was nightmare from Merriam-Webster, and they used like footage from Life is Strange.
What?
Yeah, I remember you tweeting that.
Yeah, somebody...
They used some of the nightmare scene, and I forget, in episode...
Wait, was this like on their website or something?
5, yeah. It was on their Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. That's
a while ago, though.
So somebody at Merriam-Webster is a fan. So
yeah,
I was I was so fucking amped about it.
Well, it's just so cool because we don't have to go down that rabbit hole, but you guys know that sequence is like, I think it's one of the most brilliant parts of the game, but we can talk about that later.
Fucked.
There speaking of sequences, there are a lot of And this is such a good segue, you guys. Pat myself on the back. Speaking of sequences, there's a lot of great ones in it. There's a lot of like defining moments for the game, and a lot of just moments that stand out for various reasons. But what exact moment did you kind of realize that this game was gonna change your life, I guess?
Man. Well, I kind of cited already the part where you go back in time through the Polaroid. And I think that was probably the first time where I really felt like that. Like, it was almost like, like when your heart jumps up in your chest, because like it completely like shattered my perception of what was going on or where the game was headed. And I'll go back to what I said before about my initial impression of the game, which was, it's really pretty and you're going around and you're looking at stuff and it's great. But then you get into this meaty, like really deep plot. And I just felt like that was like a huge turning point where you actually go back and you're fully aware of like who you are. You're still present Max, but in younger Max's body, and you're sitting in the or you're like standing in the kitchen and William's still alive. And I was freaking out, dude. Like I looked over at my buddy and I was just like, this is wild. Like, I don't know what is going on. So I think that was the first one, but I'll also just give a shout out to the nightmare, because there are so many different facets to the nightmare, and I think it was brilliantly constructed because it's like the perfect blend of like what actually happened versus Max's perception, and it has like this sort of abstract, horrifying, terrible feel to it. But the part that stood out to me the most about the nightmare was like right at the very tail end of it, where things shift and you go through that like. My buddy and I were talking about it. Shout out to my buddy Joe, who introduced me to the game. We compared it to like a Disney ride, like a ride at Disney World, where you're like walking through and seeing all of the key moments in Max and Chloe's relationship. And I was just like, I just wanted to like applaud. I was like, this is beautiful. So
the memory lane.
Yeah, exactly.
Christ-filled Walk of Fame.
If it was me, I'd stay there forever. I just don't go forward into the ending.
Same.
Right.
Stay back.
And I think that's what they were going
canon
for.
ending.
But the funniest part about it is we had another friend of ours play it, and he ran through it. He sprinted through that part. And I was just like, dude, this is what... Okay.
Yeah, I've heard of people just sprinting through that part as well. And I'm like, how do you not stop to like stare at each tableau they've set up and like listen to the dialogue?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. With heartless.
Yeah. What about you, Sean?
Such a hard question. It is probably when Max gets given Chloe's dad's old camera. I think that part kind of really hit me in the feels. There's so many good parts though. Yeah, I really love that bit. But I think something that I really enjoyed at the time was when I started noticing that there was more than just friendship between Max and Chloe, because not only am I like a diehard Prizefield shipper, but I kind of realized I was gay because of video games. I played The Last of Us. I played the DLC. Is this spoilers?
I started playing it, but go ahead. You're not going to spoil anything.
I haven't seen that.
Well, in the DLC, Ellie ends up kissing her best friend, and I sat in my room and I cried for so long, and then I Skyped my best friend and was like, I think I'm gay. And she was like, dude, I know. And I was like, what?
What do you mean you know?
Yeah. And then, yeah, so when I saw that they were kind of having feelings for each other, I was like, oh my god, more gay video game characters. And I was like, I can't wait to see this relationship build, because it's so rare in video games. I thought that was really nice, and I thought I really liked the realism of it as well. I didn't feel forced at all, and I liked the way that they were friends before, and even when you go back to younger Chloe and Max, they've still got that kind of chemistry there, and it's just so cute. I think they're just so cute. Yeah, and I think, I really like the realistic kind of progression of their relationship.
Yeah, it's not fetishized. It's not. It feels like it's them. You know, it feels like it's just there for them and not. Yeah. What about you, Zach?
I I don't know. This is another one that's pretty hard for me. So the question is, which episode did you realize the game would change your life? I mean,
or what exact moment did you realize that it was just like more than a game?
like the thing is that I think episode 2 is really when it hooked me with all the stuff with Kate and all culminating in the rooftop scene. And that was definitely when I was like 100% into the game, and I was like excited to do more, and I couldn't wait for the next episode. But the game is definitely, I don't know. There's so many like standout moments. The pool in episode 3, the ending of episode 3. The game is definitely, I don't think I fully realized how much like effect the game would have on me until after it was long over, after episode 5 was said and done, because the game has definitely changed my life in very critical ways. Repercussions from playing that game have, there's been a definite like butterfly chaos effect, chaos theory thing going on with that game. But I think episode 2 was when I was definitely like into it and like along for the entire ride, and like was fully like, I was fully invested in that point. And it wasn't just some game that I was just kind of playing to see, if it was even, I think before that I was just sort of playing it to see if I even should like still be playing it. Like, it hadn't hooked me before then. So definitely episode 2 was when I was ready for all of it. But it wasn't until after the game was done that I realized that the game was a lot more than a game to me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I really wanted to interject with episode 2's when you were ready for the mosh pit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to hold back, and I did, so I'm kind of proud of myself on that.
Good job.
I couldn't hold back.
Yeah.
It's bad because I still all the time, when people are like trying to be like act like a bro, I always like turn around and I'm like, ready for the mosh pit, Shaka bro, and everyone's just like, what the hell are you doing? And no one gets it. It's so stressful.
I feel like that's the
I'm like,
only way you
direct.
can react if you haven't played the game. Like a friend of mine told me a story about her and her friend that went to like a show, and there was, again, Sean, there was like this bro dude who was just like, oh yeah, I mosh all the time. And so I responded, and I was just like, yeah, he's ready for the mosh pit, Shaka bra. And she just like, she didn't know how to respond. It's like, I don't know what that means.
There's so many references that I've made to Life is Strange, and it's so hard when no one else gets it. Like, my English teacher looks exactly like Mr. Jefferson, but he's bald. So, I took the courtesy of, there's only one other friend I have in my class who has played it, because I forced her to. And so I edited hair on him and some glasses, and I sent it to her, and she was like, why do you do these things? And one time, in my class, he came up to me and he called me Rachel, and I was like, my name is not Rachel, and I don't like the fact that you're calling me Rachel. And she looked at me and she was like, be ready for murder. And I was like, wow, thanks.
Thanks.
I think it's time to...
I can't...
I'm sorry, go ahead, Joey.
No, go ahead.
I was going to go on to the next question, but...
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So, this is the biggie. Bay, B-A-E, or Bay, B-A-Y. Start things off with Aaron.
Alright guys, well I gotta run. I'll see you later. Oh jeez. Okay, yeah. Well, I'll preface this by saying that I've heard just amazing like insight about both sides of the coin, but I'll just, I chose Arcadia Bay. And the only reason I did that, well, there are a couple reasons, but the main one was simply because I felt like for me, Life is Strange was, it was all about like the choices you make in life. I mean, obviously it's a choice-based game, but the impact that it had on me was realizing that I don't have as much control as I initially thought I did, or maybe that I even want over my own life. And when it was presented to me, this opportunity to save my best friend, possibly romantic interest, depending upon what you chose, or an entire city of people, it just seemed obvious to me. And it actually didn't even take me that long to decide to sacrifice Chloe. just a little side note. I have seen both endings, but I'm actually really glad that I picked that ending because I felt like it like stuck in my brain as the ending for me for Life is Strange. And aside from the freaking amazing song by Foles, which I love, it's just, it's heartbreaking and it's tragic and it's awful, but there was closure. And I felt like it really reinforced the idea of when this all started and Max realized she had these powers for whatever reason or by whatever means. This is what she chose to do with them. And she realized that she was causing all this chaos by trying to save the most important person in her life. And for me, it just made sense. But with that said, I'm very interested to hear more from people who chose the opposite.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing to look at, I think, and also too, just to kind of, it's interesting to look at Max as a character with that in mind, because with her powers and all that, you wonder and Aaron, I believe you even mentioned it earlier about her being nosy,
yeah,
and even though she's a snooper, but but it's interesting and. It's an interesting topic to think about, and is she using these powers to actually for good, to try to get to know people and all that, or is it more so does she just have an impulse to be in the know? And it's an interesting I don't know what the word is. It's just an interesting way to look at Max. But anyway, what was your choice, Sean?
So first of all, I'm just going to start off by saying I'm a Chloe Price kind of gal, so I obviously went for Bay. But I'll go into why in a second. But first, I want to say I do actually think that the Arcadia Bay option is a stronger ending. I feel like I was kind of, I don't want to say let down, but I felt like there could have been more to the Bay ending. I wasn't that happy with it, and I think that story-wise, the Arcadia Bay option is definitely stronger, and it definitely leaves you a bit more messed up than the other ending.
Yeah,
but
right.
I did pick the Bay ending, but that's because I spent a long time thinking about it. I knew the option was coming, so I'd thought about it before. I kind of just knew that the option was going to come. I think a lot of people did. And I couldn't let Chloe die after the week that they'd spent together, less than a week that they had spent together. They'd made all these memories, so much had happened. Chloe had finally had she'd learnt what happened to Rachel, she had closure, that kind of thing. She had closure with getting to see Max again, and if you just went back and got rid of all that, she died in that bathroom alone thinking no one loved her, and that she was never going to amount to anything, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't let Chloe die, having those feelings about herself and thinking that Max left her for good, and not knowing anything that had happened in the past week. And she even, depending on how you played it, she even got to know more about David and learn more about him. And I feel like there was so much that happened in those few days. And I don't know, it hurt too much to know that Chloe would go knowing none of that.
Yeah,
right.
That's tough.
So do you think there's alternate timelines, or do you think it's a main timeline with a few divergents that get reconciled, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot as well. It's really hard. I feel like obviously there is a main timeline in the sense of the timeline that Max is choosing to be in. So that's kind of the main timeline, but obviously there are other timelines, as we know.
Right.
But whether they're relevant because we never get to see them is another question.
Right, yeah, good point.
Kind of how the multiverse theory kind of plays off, where you make one decision, there's another universe where the complete opposite happens.
Right, yeah. Each each choice that is given to you in the game, both realities happen. It's just your choice to be witness to which one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Blackwell Podcast gets quantum.
Well, you said Christian Divine touched on that, right? And said that, both endings are legitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a cheater.
I mean, yeah. He was like, well, both happen.
Yeah.
So
I know. I feel like I agree with that. I feel like with every time there is a choice, there is a reality where both options happen or all three options happen. I think.
But I want to be there to witness them.
Right.
That's the problem.
It's
Right.
It's just your choice which one your max takes.
Yeah.
But there are other maxes and there's other Chloes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I want to hear David Tennant explain all this as the Doctor.
it reminds me of the movie Looper.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if anyone has seen it. I don't know if I should spoil it, but
It's a good movie.
there's a line in there that it reminds me of with the powers and stuff like that, and it always gives me a chuckle, just a little giggle. But what about you, Zach?
See, I'm kind of split between both the endings. The one I chose is to save Chloe and sacrifice Arcadia Bay. And I do agree that I feel like sacrifice Chloe is the more fulfilling ending, I think is the word I want to use. It definitely feels a little more like fleshed out and it's less open, but it's definitely the more like impactful ending. But I've always chosen to sacrifice Arcadia Bay and save Chloe because, like you said, Sean, it almost feels like a waste to not pick that option with everything that just happened. Like, what have I, what was all this for? And I know Chloe at the end says that, you'll have the memories, but she doesn't. And I don't know, I guess memories just aren't, in that case, as valuable to me. I think they are when you have no other alternative, but when the alternative is to, not have to be stuck with only memories, then, the other ending feels, the other option feels a lot better to me. And while I like the ending of sacrificing Chloe, I think I like that ending more. I've always said that I have to choose saving Chloe and sacrificing Arcadia Bay, because if that was me in that situation with my equivalent to Chloe and either sacrificing her or sacrificing the town full of people, I would choose to sacrifice the town every single day.
Yeah.
That would
I'm
always
exactly
be my
the
choice.
same.
And I always applaud Life is Strange for being the first game that's ever actually made me choose the morally wrong decision over the morally right one. Because I'm always the one to choose for the greater good, or I always choose that ending. The greater good. I always choose that ending in those games I play, but Life is Strange is the first one that made me not do that, and I had to choose the more selfish one because I was just too attached to the characters, and if that was me in that situation, that's what I would do in reality.
Yeah, well, it's a good point you make about when you said your real life equivalent to Chloe. I assume you meant a significant other. But that's interesting to me because I didn't. It completely went over my head, the whole price field thing, until after I finished the game, and then that's what my buddy told me. He was just like, by the way, this is this is the big source of conflict, I guess, is because do you save the woman you love? And I'm like, well, they were just friends, right? And I think it was.
Oh my god! I know, just gals being pals.
Yeah, we're doing good. I don't know.
I like your version of the canon where Max is just totally blissfully unaware to Chloe being in love with her, and Max is just
she
you're a
was
real
for a
good
while.
friend, Chloe.
Yeah, well, if we are saying
great
that
friends.
Max is sort of an embodiment of who we are, then that's what happened. I'm a product of my upbringing, I guess.
She kind of was the whole time. Even in her final diary entry, she's like, I know I like Chloe more as a friend. I'm paraphrasing, but I don't know how she feels about me. Like, she just like, how can you miss it?
Well, so I'll say this: I chose a lot, like pretty much every opportunity that you could take to bond with Warren. I took it, and again because I have a heart for him. But yeah, I mean, there were some times where, and again, I think I'm just oblivious as a person. Like, you know, where you're in the room and you know she dresses you up like Rachel, and then you have to kiss. Like, obviously, yeah, I did that, but I was like, that's harmless. Like, that doesn't mean anything. And I think that was just me, like, trying not to like jump to any conclusions. I don't know. It's hard to remember at this point, but I definitely felt like a goof afterwards because literally everybody else picked up on it but me. So.
The game makes so much more sense now. I understand.
Yeah.
See, I'm kind of on the fence with what ending, because originally I sacrificed Arcadia Bay because I felt like the relationship was too strong to break, I guess. And then like I thought, come on, the other ending can't be too bad, right? So I immediately watched that. It fucked me up for that week.
I did the exact same.
Yeah, I immediately went on YouTube and watched the other one.
You see, with the Arcadia Bay ending, it's kind of like a vicious roundabout, isn't it? Because you just end up exactly where you are. You know, you just watch Chloe get shot in this bloody stream on the floor. You end up, you know, David arresting Nathan, going to the funeral and everything. But with the Sacrifice Arcadia Bay ending, you're there with your best friend or the woman you love, wherever you go with, you know, standing proud, watching, if not, well, what they could consider to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
Right. And I definitely hear the argument, and I tend to agree too that from a thematic standpoint, sacrificing Chloe is more sound.
Yeah.
More sound, but I think, and this is just my personal opinion. Like, I'm not like saying anybody is wrong. Please, God, understand that, listeners. That it's supposed to be very vague as to what happens if you choose to save Chloe.
Yeah.
Because you are caught. You're just going through the aftermath of this huge storm that has razed the town, and picking that option means the only thing you know is that you want to be with Chloe. Mm-hmm. Is that Max wants to be with Chloe, and so it's purposely vague because I think, for me at least, it's supposed to have the weight of, did I do the right thing? Does the right thing even matter? Is there a right thing? Like, I'm here with Chloe. I'm here with like the person that I've spent these past 5 days rekindling and realizing that there's more there than what I ever even thought. You know, like, I feel like it does. A lot of people say it doesn't have much weight to it, but I feel like it does but the thing of it is, though, is it puts it, it makes it incumbent on the player themselves to feel that weight as opposed to the game showing it to you.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my piece on it, which I've talked about like a lot, but you know, that's why I do a podcast, is so I can talk about it.
Sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
Just going back to you not knowing that Pricefield was a thing. Did you realize that Chloe was like into Rachel?
I did, yeah. So I definitely picked up on that.
Okay, so that was...
Yeah, so like, yeah, just clarifying, like when you're in the room with Chloe and Max and they do the kiss thing, like I definitely thought like maybe Chloe had some sort of like vague interest, even if it was just like for fun or like, you know, a fling or something. But I don't know, I never actualized it into like a tangible thing between the two of them. Like, of course they're close and of course they have this like amazing relationship and bond, but
yeah,
I didn't think it was actually a thing. Yeah, I promise I'm not that dumb.
Well, cool. That's an inside look to everyone's Life is Strange experience. But why don't we get to know who you guys are in general?
Sure.
All right.
So, Aaron, what do you do? What do you do?
What do I do here? What am I doing? So I am a production artist. I work for Custom Ink, a t-shirt making company. So I do that full time. Outside of that, I'm also just kind of a general artist. I do a lot of like, I don't do a whole lot anymore, but I do like commissions, like portraits for some of my friends and like general illustrations. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see like I'll kind of like just get random inspiration sometimes and like start sketching stuff out. Obviously been on a huge Life is Strange kick lately. But yeah, I also I like playing music. I haven't recorded anything in a long time, but been working on some original material. I used to be in a band, but we're all kind of spread out now. But yeah, so that's what I do when I don't play video games that destroy my soul.
What about you, Sean?
Well, I don't do anything per se, but
Me too.
I'm in my last year of sixth form, which is kind of high school, I think, the end of high school for you Americans out there. And I'm going off to study acting at university. I want to be an actor. That's what I'm working towards, hopefully. That's the dream. And I kind of want to get into doing voice work, and I also want to do some stand-up comedy in the future, hopefully.
Nice.
That's that kind of... And I'm really interested in video games all my life. And the only other thing that I'm like really big on is Saturday Night Live, which I love it. I don't know why. Why don't we have it in the UK? Why don't we have it? It's so good.
Does it really not air over there?
No.
No.
Oh wow.
No. You can't even get the SNL app, and I want those emojis.
No emoji.
Well, that's cool about the pursuit of acting.
Yeah. That is.
And definitely will be following you closely so that when you get big and you're famous, we can say, yeah, did a podcast with her.
Don't worry, I'll still be doing the podcast, hopefully.
What about you, Zach? What do you do?
I agree with Sean. I don't really do anything. Well, I am currently just working like at just like a little nowhere job, but hopefully I should be starting school early next year. I am I was a moderator on Life is Strange Fans, but I became less active there, so I kind of stepped down. And that's why I was on the Life is Strange Fans podcast. But I've known Joey and Jamie for like a year now.
Yeah.
I'm Joey's dungeon master. That's what I do. There you go. I play D&D with Joey and a few other people I met online. And I don't know. I would like to maybe get into writing. That's one of the main reasons I like playing Dungeons and Dragons. I like to write stories, make cool characters. It's a little bit more unpredictable because I can't judge what the players are going to do. So I'm kind of writing a story with them. And I don't know. I play a lot of video games. I'm engaged, getting married to
Oh, wow.
to a girl I met on Life is Strange Fans that I met.
Oh,
Hell
that's
yeah,
so
dude.
cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that I met.
Yay!
So that's what I meant earlier when I said that I didn't realize the repercussions the game would have on me until after I finished episode 5, because playing that game led me to sign up on Life is Strange Fans, which led me to meet my future fiance.
Hashtag goals.
And so she's in Canada though, so we're waiting on immigration and stuff to get back to us, which we've got our first letter back and we're approved. So
That is so
going
cute.
well. Sweet. Yeah, she'll be here in 2 days actually, for a week.
Radical, man. That's awesome.
I forgot to mention, I'm also a cosplayer. That's the thing I do as well. I go to Comic-Con and stuff. I've cosplayed pretty much, I think, all of the main girls in Life is Strange, including Rachel Amber, except for Kate, because I just can't do Kate. And I've tried Nathan and Warren.
Oh, wow.
And Jefferson. I did Jefferson as well. I forgot about
Just
that
everyone.
though. Yeah, I'll become them all if I need to. I've also
You should cosplay them all.
at
You
once.
should- oh, sorry.
Same time.
I was gonna say you should cosplay them all and then do different poses so that you can then Photoshop all of your variations together into one giant group picture.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that just for you. Regarding you being fiancé to someone because of Life is Strange, I'm not fiancéed. But I can't say significant other because it's a bit more complicated than that. It's kind of Chloe and Max kind of relationship, in that sense. But we are as close as we are because of video games, and Life is Strange being one of them. So I can
That's
relate
awesome.
to that.
Life is Strange
Yeah.
brings people together.
Yeah.
If only you'd met them through Life is Strange fans, because then we could say it's the best dating site online.
This is the new Match.com. That's awesome.
That's very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Oh yeah, Joey's gonna be. I forgot to mention that Joey's gonna officiate my wedding.
Yeah,
that right?
I'm a minister.
Dude, I am too!
The church. I am too, actually. So, oh man, can we make a minister podcast with us three?
Yeah,
Jamie, are you? I feel like
it'll be
I'm
so misleading.
left out here.
I feel it.
It's a new requirement for Blackwell Podcast is you have to be a minister. You have to.
It's
Excuse
my party
yourself.
trick.
What is your church? Both of you. I know what Joey's is, but I just want him to say it on the podcast.
I think mine is like I've got an email, so I check. I think it's not like that impressive, but
Well, mine
what's your one?
is based off of The Big Lebowski. If you've ever seen that movie.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies. It's the Church of the Dude, the Latter Day Dude. You can sign up for
wow.
free online. Bless up.
Oh, I found mine. Mine's just the Universal Life Church.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty common one. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
And then Joey's is. Go ahead. I won't steal it.
Yeah. So I'm like certified through. I think it's American Ministry Services or something like that. Basically, I just Googled become a minister online
That's
so that
what
I
I
could
did.
officiate so that I could officiate Zach and Amy's wedding. But my church is the Church of Friendship.
Aww. That's so cute. I feel like I need a
So-
better church now.
Why? You have the whole
Double-
universe.
you can s-
Yeah, you can just make it up. Do what?
Oh, I said she has the whole
I was gonna
universe.
say
She's
she.
good. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. You can also sign up somewhere else, and you can be double minister.
I'm gonna do it.
See how
Be the
many.
minister of
How
everywhere.
many titles you can get? Yeah.
I was considering spending like $45 at one point to become a duke
Oh, where can you do that?
Is that all it costs?
online. Yeah, it's. I mean, like you will be. As far as I can tell, it's like you will become actual nobility.
That's.
Um,
I'm gonna do that.
I would do it.
Yeah.
So you become a duke or duchess of some odd, I think, Scandinavian country or something like that.
I own one square foot piece of land on an island called Hawaii too. So there's another fun fact about me.
So life is all about going online and finding what you can pay nothing to a minimal amount of money to garner
To try to
throughout
get
your entire
dumb
life.
titles for yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Here I was considering like doing a doctorate, so just so I could be like Minister Dr. Sean Elder. But now I know that I can become a duke as well.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's all about making your name
So-
as long as it can possibly be. With as many titles.
You want to collect as many prefixes as you can.
It's like Pokemon. You gotta
Yeah.
catch them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yep. And then calling companies to complain when they don't give you the option to affix all of your titles.
Yeah.
It's like, I am royalty, sir or madam. And you do not give me the opportunity to state that on here, on this form.
They'll probably just hang up at some point.
And I think I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot about the affluent or the aristocratic or the noble. But I think if they hang up on you, you can go to war with them.
You can officially declare war.
On one person.
A pox on your house, sir.
I do but bite my thumb at thee.
I feel like we've really gone on a tangent.
Yeah.
Here.
Then
This is
again,
the get to know you.
It's just
situation.
turning to me and Joey playing D&D now.
yeah. Let's try and get back on track.
Well, cool. So this is Aaron, Sean, and Zach, everyone, and but they are not the only. They are not the only addition to our team.
No.
We also. It was really tough decision. We had a lot of applicants, and it really kind of sucked having to turn people away. As much as I make the joke about it, and as much as I say like we really should have put everyone on an island and only picked the survivors, like battle royale style. It really was. We had a lot of amazing applicants. We had a lot of just incredible people, fun to talk to. We had our things that we had to look for. But we did also expand beyond just our 3 new co-hosts. We also did expand to some moderator roles. Moderator roles, and as well as to help us kind of create content. So we want to give a shout out to them. Mm-hmm. And Jamie, why don't you do us the honor of telling us who they are?
We have 4 moderators currently. We have Brittanie, we have Gabe, we have Spencer, and we have Sebastian.
Mm-hmm. So they help us out, first and foremost. Well, I wouldn't say foremost, but first, they help us out on our Discord, which is kind of helping us keep an eye on chat, helping people that have any questions about, the show or anything like that. When we do live streams, they'll be there helping us. They're also like kind of our stand-ins if we need kind of how you have like stand-ins for acting and stuff like that. They'll be the people we pull from first if we need additional personality on the show. Mm-hmm. For anything. And they're also just wonderful people, great to talk to. So come say hi to them, come hang out with them, tell them how lovely they are.
Yeah.
Tell us how lovely we are.
Please,
we need it.
We need the validation.
So yeah, that's the team.
So that was that's the new team of Blackwell Podcast 2.0. Mm-hmm. We are, as we speak, in the process of revamping a lot of things. It won't happen immediately, but we are in the process of it. I guess just some housekeeping. We are still working on the LGBTQ plus episode, looking at a June or July date for that. So if you are interested in participating in that, this is specifically for the LGBTQ plus community. What we're looking for is if you have any way of like how Life is Strange, the community kind of helped you come to terms or made you realize, or just how it helped you, any positive that might have come from Life is Strange. If you don't feel comfortable submitting with name, you can do it. You can do so anonymously. If you just have something you want to say, but you don't feel comfortable. If you're interested, this is going to be first come, first served basis. Yes. We'll probably have 3 to 5 mm-hmm. spots. We'll figure out available of people to actually come on the show. So again, this is first come, first served basis. If you are interested to come on and speak of how it helped you out, let us know. You can get in touch with us personally. You can get in touch with us through Twitter, email, etc., etc. You know the routine by now, and if not, we'll go over it at the very end. All the ways you can get in touch with us. that's really the big plans that we have now. We've kind of been focusing on getting our new co-hosts and our new team members and all that. So we're going to be back on our regularly scheduled programming after this.
Yeah, which is good. Should we touch on the final announcement that we have?
Yeah.
All right. So, me and Joey kind of mentioned this in the update video that we posted a few weeks ago about possibly having a Patreon page, and it's active right now. So yeah, basically how it works is we're only doing it for costs of the show to cover all expenses, and the rest of the money will go to charity. So we're not making any money of this whatsoever.
Right. It just helps with subscription costs to things such as SoundCloud, Adobe Premiere, things of that nature. Any expense for the show that comes up, and then we're gonna have it on rotation every 3 months. The charity will change. Our first charity for any overflow will be Trevor Project, which is a 24-hour, 7 days a week hotline for LGBTQ youth. It's a suicide hotline. It's a help hotline. Check it out, trevorproject.org. That's where our donations will be going. And then at the end of the 3 months, we will change to a different charity. And for that, we will be looking to our team members to come up with good ones.
Yeah.
And I think that's really it for now. If you have any interest in the things aforementioned, you can get in touch with us, blackwellpodcast@hotmail.com. You can find us on Tumblr, blackwellpodcast.tumblr.com, which will soon be getting a new face, soon be getting a makeover because it's hideous. It's like mustard. It's an abomination. Yeah, it's ugly. And it's also just boring. So we're going to try to spice it up a little bit and at the very least make it aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
You can find us on Twitter at BlackwellPDcast because we didn't have room for the O.
Yeah. Couldn't afford it.
Soon we will be on Facebook, which you will be able to find us on there. You can find us on Instagram at Blackwell Podcast.
Yep. That's all
I
can think of, really.
I think that's it. Yeah.
So that's really it for this episode, then.
I think so. So, very, very excited to have our new team with us and get to know them.
We should say it's rotation too.
Yep. So our next episode will be with Aaron. We're going to go alphabetically. So our next episode will be with Aaron. And it'll be us three.
On the 3rd.
That's all we have. So, as always, thank you so much for listening. And we will catch you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.